So the alimentary canal, going from the mouth to the anus, is actually consists of an organ, which can have more than one type of tissue associated with it. And remember that alimentary canal is subdivided into different sections, and different sections have slightly different differences, specifically maybe like in their lining, their epithelial tissue lining, but they also have some similarities. And so when we talk about the histology of the alimentary canal, we're talking about a general part of it, which includes the inner lining, and then also includes like blood vessels and connective tissue and nervous components, and then the muscles that surround that, and then also the outer connective tissue lining, which connects the organs to, like your intestines, to the mesenteries that hold them in place. Okay, so we have 4 layers, or sometimes they're referred to as tunics. So we have 4 tunics or layers. So these go the mucosa, the submucosa, the muscularis externa, and then the serosa, which is actually also the visceral peritoneum. So most of our organs sit in the peritoneal cavity. And so that's why it's the visceral peritoneum. And that is connective tissue that lines the organs. And then the parietal peritoneum would be the tissue that lines the inside of the cavity. So we talked about cirrhosis, and when we talked about the heart and the lung as well. Not cirrhosis, but we talked about the visceral and the parietal concept. Okay. So let's look at the innermost layer, which is the mucosa. So you could write innermost layer mucosa. So it is lined with epithelial tissue, and in most of the alimentary canal, it's simple columnar. So you can see that there's like there's a single layer of column-shaped cells. This actually makes it very vulnerable, but is important, say, for example, in the small intestine, where things have to be absorbed across its surface. Also associated with the mucosa would be glands, and these glands produce all kinds of things, but one thing that they can produce would be mucus. So mucus lines the inside. Our alimentary canal is moist and it is mucus lined. So this mucus allows kind of for protecting the inside, and also, like, for example, the large intestine, like the movement of the feces. So we have the mucosa produces mucus. So also we have, say, for example, in the stomach, we have digestive enzymes being produced by the mucosa, and we also have hormones that are secreted into the lumen of that space. So this is the mucosa. When we look at the submucosa, this is the next layer underneath the mucus. So this is the space where our food would be. This is the next layer. The submucosa, you'll notice, has blood vessels. So you could put, it contains blood vessels. It is highly vascularized. These blood vessels function to provide nutrients and oxygen to the tissues, but they also function in the absorption of nutrients when we're talking about the small intestine. We also have lymphatic vessels, which is the structure in green. So the lymphatic vessels also play a role in absorbing nutrients. And then we have yellow, which is nervous system. So the submucosa also contains the nervous tissue. And when we talk about the nervous tissue of the gut, there's a special name for that, the nervous tissue of your digestive system. So it is called the enteric nervous system. And sometimes this is referred to as the gut brain or your second brain. And this enteric nervous system seems to be very important for all kinds of things, not just digestion. So it includes digestive properties, but it also has an immune function. And it also seems to be linked to our brain and how we metabolize energy and also our mood. So the gut nervous system are those neurons that are located in that submucosa. The next part of our layers are the muscularis externae. So this is smooth muscle. So you want to write smooth muscle. So that means that it is involuntary. It can be coordinated by the nervous system, but there's also some hormones that can be released that can also cause the contraction of the muscles. This allows for peristalsis, which is like wave-like contractions down the length of your gastrointestinal tract, which moves food in the right direction. So there's two layers. There's the circular inner layer and the longitudinal. The circular layer, when it contracts, it's going to decrease the diameter and force food. And then the longitudinal is going to actually increase the diameter and shorten. So it's this wave of contraction that moves down your digestive system. Okay, so the last layer, serosa. This is that connective tissue that is on the outside. But one of the things that you'll notice is that it is also connected to the mesentery. So this is my mesentery. So the mesentery is important because it allows for blood vessels and lymphatic vessels and nerves to travel to these organs that mainly sit in our abdominal cavity. Okay, so those are the four tunics, the histology of the alimentary canal.